Hi everyone, I'm Alex. Thanks for clicking and welcome to this lesson on the TOEFL iBT independent speaking task, structure, and tips. So this will be a two-part video. In the first section, I will describe the structure of the independent speaking task on the TOEFL iBT. And in the second part of the video, I will give you some tips on how to do well on this. So if you know the structure, you might want to fast forward maybe 2 or 3 minutes, okay? If you don't know the structure, here we go. So on the TOEFL independent speaking task, there are 2 tasks that you must complete, and there are 2 different types of questions. So the first type of question on the TOEFL independent speaking task might be a personal choice question. So in this section, you'll be asked a question about important people, places, events, or activities that you enjoy. It will always be something related to your personal experience or just general knowledge of life. So, they might say, tell me about a person who has meant a lot in your life. If you could learn one instrument, what would you learn and why? Something related to your personal experience. And the second type of task, second type of question is a paired choice question. So in this situation, you have to choose between A or B, either or. So for example, the questions might ask you to compare, do you prefer life in a hot country or do you prefer life in a country that has seasons? Do you prefer renting or owning a house or an apartment? Would you prefer private or group classes? And then you basically have to give a response. Well, I think that private classes are better than group classes because you get more personalized attention and because, whatever your reasons are. So in this task, you actually have 15 seconds of preparation time before you have to speak, and then you are given 45 seconds to speak. So again, during the IBT, this is for the IBT. So the IBT, you have headphones on, you will hear the question, and you will read the question on the computer screen. And once the question has, finished being read, then you have 15 seconds to prepare a response. And I completely recommend a notebook and then 45 seconds to answer the question. Now, in addition to bringing a notebook, let's look at some other tips that can help you to do well on the TOEFL independent speaking task. All right, so let's look at some tips on how to do well on the independent speaking task. Number 1, this goes for the test as a whole. Be honest with yourself. Don't take the test unless you're ready. Now, what I mean by this is if you're a beginner student, don't even consider the TOEFL test. If you're an intermediate student, a high intermediate, then it's more possible for you to do well on the TOEFL. Remember, the TOEFL is meant to prepare people for an academic setting, so a university. So if you are not a high intermediate or advanced student, you will find the TOEFL to be very, very difficult. And honestly, you would probably be wasting your money in taking the test or a preparation course if you're not an advanced or high intermediate student. So be honest with yourself. It's hard advice, but it's completely true. Number 2, have a notebook to write your ideas for the independent speaking task. You are allowed to bring a notebook and a pencil or pen, and this will help you to write ideas, after you read the question and listen to the question. Number 3, have at least 2 reasons or 2 examples to support your opinion. So, if you're having one of the independent opinion choices or the second paired choice questions, make sure you have at least 2 reasons to support your position. So if you are doing a paired choice question and the question is about, do you prefer living in a dormitory or living at home when attending university, make sure you have 2 reasons for why you prefer, for example, living in a dormitory. In a dormitory, you can make friends and you can also make it to classes on time because it's very close to the campus, for example. So at least 2. Number 4, don't become obsessed with the clock. This is very difficult when you first start training for the TOEFL but you will, become obsessed in the beginning because you think 45 seconds, I have to speak for 45 seconds. And as you're speaking, this number is always in the back of your mind. But the more you practice it, the more you will realize how much you can actually speak for in 45 seconds. So the only way to get over this obsession with the time, with the clock, is to practice, so you know what it feels like. You'll have a sense of what is 45 seconds of speaking. And again, don't feel like you have to fill the complete 45 seconds. If you talk for 40, if you talk for 35, but your answer is clear and your pronunciation is clear, your grammar structures have variety, your reasons make sense, then the person who is evaluating you will evaluate you based on those answers, okay? And number 5, relax. There is no right answer in these speaking tasks. They are purely opinion-based questions about general topics that anyone can speak about, okay? So it's your opinion. Don't feel like you're being graded and they're looking for a specific correct answer. They're testing your fluency, your ability to use grammar in a wide variety of ways. And finally, practice with a teacher, a friend, a partner, or in front of a mirror. It doesn't matter who you're practicing with as long as you are practicing, okay? I really recommend practicing in an environment, if it's possible for you to take a classroom course for TOEFL preparation, practice where there are other people speaking around you, because during the test, there will be other people speaking around you at different computer terminals, okay? All right, guys, so if you'd like to test your understanding of, the structure of the test, as well as review these tips that I've given you, you can take the quiz on engvid.com, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye, and good luck.